You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, that didn't take long. Now, did it? I told you after we found out some added things about the new salary proposal earlier, I was like, I don't think this is going to probably fly. I don't think that the players are going to agree with this. There's some reasons to not agree with it. I mean,
WNBA players just rejected a colossal offer, a massive 4x pay increase that could have changed everything for the league. This wasn't just about money, it was about complex math that simply didn't add up for the players, sparking immediate outrage and pushing the WNBA closer to a catastrophic lockout. The proposed $1 million max salary and a $500,000 average seemed like a huge win, but hidden details and critical omissions caused the Players Association to swiftly slam the door on the deal. This stunning rejection highlights deeper issues within the league and could define the future of women's basketball.
Made me think that the players are going to reject this quick, fast, and in a hurry. It was the housing situation. Now, I'm trying to figure out, somebody earlier said, well, of course they're not going to take this because they're going from $60,000 to just $225,000. So they're not going to agree to the housing part. And I'm like, you getting let me do math, $150,000 a year raise. You can't find something for $3,000 to rent? Are you shitting me? Is that what you're trying to make me?
At the core of the controversy is a fundamental dispute over numbers that seem to defy all logic. The WNBA proposed an average salary of $500,000, which sounds incredible, yet the proposed team salary cap of $5 million for 12 players simply does not align. Players are scrutinizing how a $5 million cap can support a $500,000 average when simple division suggests a different, much lower figure per player, creating deep mistrust in the league's financial projections. This critical discrepancy, officially labeled as vague pay scale projections, immediately raised red flags for the Players Association, casting a dark shadow over the entire negotiation process.
You can't find something for $3,000 to rent? Are you shitting me? Is that what you're trying to make me? That's what you're trying to sell to me right now. No. I mean, that math doesn't math. WNBA PA reportedly reject WNBA's latest offer due to, quote, math. Okay. As negotiations continue between the WNBA and WNBA PA on a new CBA Sports Business Journal reported the Players Association plans to reject the league's latest offer.
But it wasn't just the salary math that caused a swift rejection. The league's decision to eliminate team-provided housing ignited a furious backlash among players. Currently, teams cover housing for players during the regular and postseason, a crucial benefit especially for those on temporary or short-term contracts who might only be with a team for a few weeks. Removing this provision, even with a massive salary increase, was seen as a major step backward, forcing players to shoulder significant new expenses without adequate compensation. The idea that a $225,000 minimum salary should automatically cover housing failed to grasp the practical realities, creating an instant deal breaker.
WNBA PA on a new CBA Sports Business Journal reported the Players Association plans to reject the league's latest offer. Guys, are we headed towards a lockout? Because they're daring billionaires that have never turned a profit with the league, and they've got big-ass egos. Billionaires don't like to be dared. What have we already heard? We heard one of the owners literally come out and say, yeah.
Another major point of contention was the proposed earlier start date for the WNBA season, a move that would directly conflict with the end of women's college basketball season and March Madness. This decision, seemingly designed to carve out a unique viewership window, is viewed by many as nonsensical because March Madness functions as incredible free marketing for the WNBA. It's where the next generation of stars, like Caitlin Clark, build their brand and develop the storylines that draw massive new audiences to the professional league. Cutting into that vital time risks sabotaging their own future.
It is partially due to, quote, vague pay scale projections. The WNBPA reportedly has concerns about the league's math. Quote, math. The WNBA has proposed an average salary of $500,000, but with a proposed salary cap of $5 million per team and 12 players, the numbers do not add up. The salary cap would reportedly increase over the length of the CBA and be directly tied to the league's revenue growth each year. Specific revenue-sharing details haven't been disclosed. USA Today reached out to the WNBA for a comment.
The league's strategic maneuvers appear to be an attempt to distance itself from competing sports, particularly the NFL and college football, for the sake of ratings. Owners recognize the massive influx of new sports fans consuming the WNBA, largely due to breakout stars like Caitlin Clark. They want those fans' undivided attention, but moving the season earlier directly clashes with the very college tournament that generates this new fan base. It's a baffling decision that seems to prioritize short-term scheduling over the organic long-term growth fueled by collegiate stars.
And the average salary to $500,000, up from $220,000 and $460,000, respectively, in the WNBA's previous proposal on November 18th. League is also reporting the latest offer no longer includes team housing. Teams currently provide housing for players on the roster during the regular season and postseason. Come on, USA Today, write better articles than this. Should a player choose not to stay in the team's provided housing, they receive a monthly stipend.
The WNBA also aims to manipulate its schedule to get direct competitors like Project B and Unrivaled out of the equation. While crushing competing leagues might seem like a smart business move, this specific scheduling conflict could backfire spectacularly. By interfering with the end of the college season, they risk alienating the very players and fans who make Project B and Unrivaled viable alternatives. The league is attempting to eliminate competition, but at what cost to its own talent pipeline and the fan engagement cultivated during March Madness?
I understand you wanting to move the season started earlier, but you're talking about interfering with March Madness, which I believe works out to be free marketing, all right, free character development, free advertisement for the WNBA for your next generation of stars. And you're wanting to cut into that time? They're building their brand to come in your league during that tournament, a tournament that gets very good rating.
The new proposal included an unprecedented max base salary of $1 million guaranteed, with the opportunity to make more than $1.2 million in conjunction with projected revenue sharing. This is a monumental jump from previous offers, representing a substantial investment in the players. The minimum player salary would rise to $25,000, and the average salary to $500,000, a significant increase from the $20,000 and $460,000 respectively in the WNBA's previous November 18th proposal. This historic offer, however, still couldn't overcome the other critical issues.
Housing shouldn't be an issue for them. All right? I mean, stop it. Minimum salary, $225,000. Trust me, you can find a good place to live for that. At least you better be able to if you can manage the math. Tell me what you think. It seems that math killed this deal already. You know what's going to kill the league? A strike or a lockout? Peace, I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time.
The league's offer also indicated that the salary cap would increase over the length of the CBA and be directly tied to the league's revenue growth each year. While this structure aims to incentivize performance and grow the overall financial pie, specific revenue sharing details haven't been transparently disclosed. This lack of clarity on how revenue sharing would actually work, combined with the vague pay scale projections, further fueled player skepticism and distrust, making it difficult for the Players Association to sign off on such a long-term agreement without concrete figures. This swift rejection, despite the epic pay increase, has led many to question if the WNBA is headed towards a devastating lockout. Players are essentially daring billionaires who own these teams, many of whom have never turned a profit with the league and possess substantial egos. Billionaires, historically, do not like to be challenged, especially when they feel they've made a generous offer. This high-stakes standoff risks plunging the league into an unprecedented crisis, potentially halting play and irrevocably damaging its burgeoning momentum. The conflict escalated when reports surfaced about previous owner dissatisfaction with how League Commissioner Kathy Engelbert handled certain situations. One owner reportedly suggested Engelbert should probably be let go, though they didn't act on it due to the current negotiation climate. This prior tension highlights a deep-seated frustration within the ownership group and suggests internal divisions within the league's leadership. Such undercurrents of discontent only add layers of complexity to the already fragile CBA negotiations, making a resolution even more challenging. The impact on temporary and short-term contract players regarding the housing situation is particularly dire. These athletes are with teams for minimal periods, often just 10 days, making significantly less money than their contracted counterparts. Forcing them to find and pay for their own housing during brief stints is economically unfeasible and deeply unfair. This oversight demonstrates a significant lack of understanding for the realities faced by a crucial segment of the WNBA roster, underscoring the Players Association's strong stance against the proposed change. The argument that a player making $25,000 minimum salary should easily be able to find their own housing misses a crucial point about the structure of professional sports contracts and living expenses. While a substantial sum, players often move between cities, incur training costs, and must maintain peak physical condition. Furthermore, the WNBA season is not year-round income, making careful financial planning essential. Expecting players to simply absorb new unbudgeted housing costs, especially when it was previously provided, shows a disconnect between ownership and player realities. The league's proposal to increase the length of the season while offering more opportunities for play directly contributes to the scheduling conflict. The 2025 WNBA season currently starts May 16th, with training camp opening April 28th, but the current CBA allows training camp as early as April 1st. Pushing this date up significantly would undoubtedly interfere with critical NCAA events, the WNBA draft, and the conclusion of collegiate careers, further complicating the transition for incoming talent and impacting the fan experience. Many observers argue that interfering with March Madness is a colossal blunder because it acts as essential free character development and free advertisement for the WNBA. During this highly rated tournament, players like Caitlin Clark build their personal brands and generate immense hype, which then directly translates into increased viewership and fan engagement for the professional league. To actively cut into this invaluable marketing period, rather than leverage it, seems counterproductive to the league's long-term growth and visibility goals. While the WNBA wants to crush rival leagues like Unrivaled and Project B, the method of scheduling interference could be a double-edged sword. Project B, with its promise of sheer salaries, is seen by some as potentially doing the WNBA's dirty work by attracting the top-tier talent, leaving half-wits to play in Unrivaled. However, alienating players and fans with ill-conceived scheduling could inadvertently strengthen these rival leagues, giving players more reasons to explore alternatives outside the WNBA structure. The perceived old fandom of the WNBA doesn't like to hear about the league catering to new actual sports fans drawn in by stars like Caitlin Clark. This internal tension between established supporters and the burgeoning new audience creates an interesting dynamic that influences league decisions. Owners, recognizing the massive new viewership, are trying to capture and retain these fans, even if it means making moves that frustrate longtime loyalists or seem to disregard traditional player benefits. The underlying concern for the WNBA Players Association is that if the league's math is so flawed on basic salary cap figures, how can they trust the projections for future revenue growth and revenue sharing? This fundamental lack of faith in the financial transparency and accuracy of the proposal became a significant barrier. Without clear, verifiable numbers and a solid explanation for the discrepancies, players are hesitant to commit to a long-term agreement that could shortchange them in the future. The current situation hints at a deep-seated philosophical divide between the players and the owners regarding the league's value and future. Players, seeing the increased viewership and mainstream attention, believe their worth has skyrocketed and expect a CBA that reflects this exponential growth. Owners, still navigating a league that has historically struggled for profit, are making offers that, while substantial, don't fully meet player expectations, leading to this dramatic and potentially damaging deadlock. The phrase "math killed this deal already" perfectly encapsulates the core issue. It wasn't just greed or stubbornness. It was a perceived lack of financial integrity and transparency in the league's offer. The players, with their association, meticulously dissected the proposal and found fundamental flaws in the numbers that could not be overlooked, making it impossible to accept the terms despite the substantial pay increase. This mathematical impasse highlights a deeper trust deficit that threatens the league. This unprecedented standoff, fueled by questionable math, housing disputes, and ill-advised scheduling, places the WNBA at a critical crossroads. The league, basking in newfound popularity thanks to stars like Caitlin Clark, now faces the very real threat of a strike or lockout. The future of women's professional basketball hangs in the balance, and if these issues aren't swiftly and genuinely resolved, the current momentum could evaporate, leaving a promising future in ruins. The words reverberated across the league. Despite an unprecedented deal promising earnings potentially 4 times previous benchmarks, the WNBA Players Association flat out rejected the new CBA proposal. This wasn't a minor tweak. We're talking a guaranteed $1 million base salary for top performers, with potential to push past $1.2 million through revenue sharing. Minimum salaries would soar to $25,000, and the average player would see $500,000. An epic leap in compensation, an offer many thought unthinkable, but the players said no. The proposed agreement, meant to usher in a new era, was dead on arrival, leaving everyone wondering what could possibly make them walk away from that. The rejection, reports confirmed, stemmed largely from vague pay scale projections and the league's questionable math. While the WNBA trumpeted an average salary proposal of $500,000, a deep dive into the proposed $5 million team salary cap revealed a stark discrepancy. With 12 players per roster, $500,000 each actually totals $6 million, not $5 million. This glaring $1 million gap immediately raised red flags, leaving players and their association questioning the true financial transparency and the very viability of the offer. They demanded clarity, not confusing figures that simply didn't add up under scrutiny. This mathematical quagmire wasn't the sole point of contention. Another explosive revelation involved the league's plan to eliminate team-provided housing, a benefit players currently enjoy throughout the season. Previously, teams either supplied accommodation or offered a monthly stipend. This seemingly minor change sparked outrage, particularly among those who understood its profound impact. For many, especially players on temporary or short-term contracts, losing this crucial support meant a sudden significant financial burden, directly affecting their ability to thrive in a demanding professional environment. It added substantial uncertainty. The removal of housing provisions truly hit temporary or short-term players hard. These athletes, often rotating through rosters for brief periods, critically rely on team-provided housing due to their unpredictable employment and often lower earnings. Expecting someone on a 10-day contract to secure affordable short-term accommodation in a new city while simultaneously focusing on elite performance is simply unrealistic. For them, this wasn't an inconvenience, it was a significant barrier to entry, threatening their ability to even participate. The fundamental player support system seemed to be eroding, casting a shadow over many futures. Yet, the housing debate wasn't universally viewed the same. For players with guaranteed substantial contracts, now potentially earning a $25,000 minimum salary or a $1 million max, the argument shifted. Critics questioned, if you're getting a huge raise, making $250,000, can you not find housing for $3,000 a month? The implication was clear. With such significant financial bumps, securing one's own living arrangements should become a manageable personal responsibility, not a reason to reject a deal elevating the entire league. This internal debate added another layer of complexity. Amidst these high-stakes negotiations, Caitlin Clark's influence loomed large. League owners openly acknowledged her unprecedented impact. Recognizing her meteoric rise brought a flood of new, genuine sports fans to the WNBA. These weren't the old fandom, they were fresh eyes, eager to consume the sport with unwavering attention. Owners desperately wanted to retain this newfound audience, understanding Clark represented a golden ticket to mainstream relevance and unparalleled growth. Her presence undoubtedly elevated the player's leverage, making this collective rejection a far more impactful and widely discussed viral moment. This newfound fan engagement directly influenced the proposed scheduling changes. To maximize viewership and capitalize on the Caitlin Clark effect, the league aimed to move its season start date earlier. The strategic goal: carve out a dedicated viewing window, free from the crushing competition of college football and the NFL. Owners believed that by avoiding direct conflict, new fans, drawn by stars like Clark, could give their full, undivided attention to the WNBA, allowing the league to truly shine without battling for precious eyeballs. It was a calculated risk for a broader audience. However, this scheduling shift introduced a significant self-inflicted wound. It directly conflicted with the end of the women's college basketball season and March Madness. This clash struck many as nonsensical, even counterproductive. March Madness isn't just a tournament, it's a colossal free marketing machine for the WNBA. It's where the next generation of stars, much like a young Caitlin Clark, build their brands and capture the nation's imagination before ever turning pro. Cutting into this crucial period felt like sabotaging their own future talent pipeline, trading invaluable organic growth for a perceived scheduling advantage. The irony was stark. The league, eager to capitalize on the branding power of players like Caitlin Clark, was proposing a schedule that would actively diminish the very platform where those brands are forged. March Madness delivers immense ratings, serving as a proving ground and a free advertisement for the WNBA's future stars. To consciously interfere with that period, disrupting the narrative and exposure of players destined for their league, seemed fundamentally misaligned with their stated goals. It was a move that baffled many, suggesting a disconnect between short-term scheduling desires and long-term strategic vision. Beyond the March Madness conflict, the earlier season start date also aimed to sideline emerging rival leagues like Unrivaled and Project B. The WNBA sought to crush them into oblivion, viewing these competitors as direct threats to their talent pool and market share. This aggressive stance was understandable. The speaker, however, had strong opinions, believing that while Unrivaled was doomed no matter what, Project B, with its promise of sheer salaries, would ultimately do the WNBA's dirty work by attracting top talent and leaving Unrivaled with lesser players nobody wanted to watch. The speaker's prediction for Project B's success, largely driven by superior salaries, ironically underscored the WNBA's own internal struggles to compensate players adequately. While the new CBA offered significant increases, the specter of alternative high-paying leagues like Project B highlighted the constant pressure on the WNBA to remain financially competitive. The struggle for talent isn't just internal, it's external, with competitors vying for the best players. This added another layer of complexity to the players' rejection, as they likely weighed the WNBA's offer against not only past earnings but also future opportunities. This rejection of the CBA proposal carries with it the chilling possibility of a lockout, a scenario that would devastate the league just as it reached unprecedented popularity, largely thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect. The speaker warned about daring billionaires that have never turned a profit with the league, and they've got big-ass egos. Billionaires, as the commentary pointed out, don't like to be dared. This power dynamic creates a volatile situation where entrenched positions and personal pride could easily escalate into a full-blown labor stoppage, stalling all the league's hard-won momentum. The tension was palpable, even manifesting as direct criticism from within the ownership ranks. One owner was reportedly heard suggesting that Commissioner Kathy Engelbert should probably be let go due to her handling of the situation. This public dissent revealed deep fissures within the league's leadership, indicating not all owners were aligned on strategy or satisfied with the negotiation process. Such internal strife leaking into the public sphere only further complicated an already fragile situation, undermining confidence and trust at a critical juncture for the WNBA's future trajectory. The financial reality for the WNBA remains a critical backdrop to these negotiations. The league, despite growing popularity, has famously never turned a profit. This fact gives the billionaire owners immense leverage and potentially less patience for protracted disputes. Their willingness to invest in a league that consistently operates in the red speaks to their long-term vision, but also suggests a limit to their tolerance for demands they deem unreasonable. The players' decision to reject a lucrative offer, therefore, is a bold gamble against owners committed despite financial losses. Further clouding the math issue were the vague details surrounding revenue sharing. While the proposed salary cap was directly tied to the league's revenue growth each year, specific details on how this revenue would actually be distributed to players remained undisclosed. This lack of transparency fueled player concerns. How could they agree to a deal when the very mechanism meant to boost their earnings was shrouded in mystery? The Players Association needed concrete specifics, not just promises, ensuring that any future financial growth truly benefited the athletes, driving that success. The WNBA Players Association, in their official response, reportedly cited math as the core reason for their rejection, highlighting specific discrepancies between the proposed average salary and the team salary cap. Their concerns weren't simply about wanting more money, they were about fundamental financial clarity and the integrity of the proposed deal. The players demanded assurances that the figures presented were accurate and sustainable, not just aspirational targets that didn't hold up under basic arithmetic. This emphasis on foundational financial stability marked a mature strategic approach to collective bargaining. Beyond salaries and housing, the league's latest offer also proposed increasing the overall length of the season. While a longer season could mean more games and potentially more revenue, it also brings a host of logistical and physical challenges for players. Coupled with the earlier start date, this extended schedule would put immense strain on athletes, already navigating rigorous training and travel demands. The players had to weigh the benefits of increased play against the increased physical toll and the potential for burnout, adding another layer of complexity to their CBA assessment. The fundamental clash at the heart of these negotiations seemed to be between the league's desire for immediate controlled growth and the players' advocacy for both financial transparency and the protection of their long-term brand building. While owners aimed to manipulate the schedule for ratings and sideline competitors, players valued the free marketing of March Madness, recognizing its role in cultivating future stars and audience engagement. It was a strategic tug-of-war, with both sides envisioning different paths to prosperity, but needing common ground to avoid a crippling standoff. The rejection sent a clear, undeniable message. The WNBA players, empowered by their growing visibility and influence, are no longer willing to accept deals lacking transparency or undermining their welfare. The Caitlin Clark effect has undeniably given them a powerful platform, making their collective voice louder and their stance on fairness more impactful. Walking away from a seemingly epic pay increase, despite the risks, highlights a deep-seated demand for a CBA that truly serves their interests, not just the league's short-term ambitions. The ball, quite literally, is now back in the league's court. The ultimate fear isn't just a lockout or a strike, but the potential for the entire league's hard-won momentum to simply collapse under the weight of unresolved disputes. The Players Association, armed with logic and united in their concerns, has essentially said, the math doesn't work, and neither do we. If these critical issues, from ambiguous financials to core player welfare like housing and scheduling, remain unaddressed, the current upward trajectory of the WNBA, significantly boosted by figures like Caitlin Clark, could stall, or worse, reverse. The real math, it seems, is whether a solution can be found before this moment truly kills the deal, and potentially the league's future.